So these are the two cute cards that we're gonna make together today. We're actually gonna build this one together, and then this one is built the same way, just kind of flip-flopped in orientation. So without further ado, let's jump in and I'll show you the supplies and then how to make it. All right, so the first step you're gonna do is you're gonna take your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you're gonna cut this down to make a slimline card. So if you go on the side that's 8.5, you're perfect. All you need to do is cut to 7, cut that down, keep this part. Save this part for later because that's how we're gonna make our snowdrifts. Take this sheet of paper and fold this so you have one nice long slimline card. And the bonus to a slimline card compared to some of the other cards is this fits into a standard business size envelope, and if you make your card flat, it will ship with no extra charge. Dare to be Artsy has a really cool paper pack set that goes with their stamps, and there is still the stamps that you can use that go with this. So this die goes with this little guy, which is different than the one that's on the paper pack, which I think is awesome. All we're gonna do is I cut out small little sections enough that I could fit the die around there, and I just use a little bit of washi tape to stick it down. So do that for both, and you do have both dies that fit. So just cut out of your main paper your two little moose. So next step is we are going to die cut this out. So just place this on whatever die cut system you happen to have. Pop your little moose out of your die. Don't forget to put your dies back. I've done that so many times where I've connected a die and almost thrown it away. So make sure that you keep your dies. And now you have two little moose, and you can get plenty of moose from that one sheet of paper. All right, next I cut out a section out of one of the pattern papers that had this beautiful scene. I was like, why do I have to recreate a brand new scene if there's already one in place? So I'm going to cut right about in here and then just do a nice like fussy cut going all the way around. Some people find this super therapeutic. Kind of hug close to all of the trees. Don't worry about trying to get into that little bitty tiny space. Not gonna be a big deal. And then you're gonna come across, we're gonna add our little smoke coming out of the tops of the chimneys when we get finished with the card. It's gonna be one of the last steps we're gonna do. There's a couple of different size scenes on the paper pack. And if you wanna do a smaller card and not a slimline card, you could pick the smaller scene and that would look super cute as well. So both would work fabulously. Don't worry about the bottom section because that's gonna get tucked into our card. So that part just kind of leave alone. Now come in and you're gonna fussy cut out your trees. I'm gonna do all 3 trees because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That gives us 9 elements, and odd numbers do work better. Something about seeing an odd number of something is pleasing to the eye, and it just works. And then we're gonna be adding our 2 moose, which we've already die cut, which gives us 11 elements total. So it works. So I have my 3 trees and my scene, and I'm gonna push these off to the side while we get the next part ready. This is the section of paper that was left over from when we cut our original card. I need to trim off 1/4 inch because we're gonna cut a mat, which we'll do here shortly, to go on our card. Just gives it a nice border. Keep your paper trimmer handy, but for right now, the first thing you're gonna do is take a large pair of scissors and about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, and you're gonna start making your snowdrift. And you can make one side a little bit taller if you want. You can kind of play around with that. So I'm gonna start at about 1 inch-ish, and I'm gonna start cutting down. You don't wanna make your snowdrift too high because then it starts impeding into the tallness of your card. Do long, nice, straight, wavy, or not straight wavy cuts, but I'm gonna show you in a minute with my scissors. So we're just making snowdrifts. So what I mean by long cuts is when you take your scissors, you wanna do long cuts like this versus lots of little cuts, so you have nice lines. So this is our first snowdrift. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut off the bottom of this. So get your paper trimmer out again, line this up, so you have just a little bit of space here, and we're gonna trim that off right there. While we have our paper trimmer out, I found a complementary color that matched with the rest of the card, and we are gonna trim and make a mat. Now, this size of the card in terms of height, if you're going back to the height of the card, this is 3.5. So I like making my mats that are 1/4 inch smaller. So I'm gonna trim 1/4 inch down. So that gives me 3.25. And that would fit just on my card, just like this. So it gives you a nice, beautiful edge mat going all the way around. And the length of my card, just to remind you guys again, is 8.5. So if I want to go 1/4 inch down, I'm going to go to 8.25. That's right there. Slide down, And now this is the mat of my card. And truly, when I'm finding complementary color papers that go with it, I will take the paper and just lay it on top and go, does that look good? Does that fight it? Does it match? And then that's how I decide that. So I'll pick and drop papers up and off the different layers of the cardstock. I'm just looking for one solid color to go with the pattern paper pack. And I'm like, yep, that looks really pretty there. So I'm good to go. If I look at it and go, it's not really in the right color story, I'll keep trying. So now I have all my elements ready to go, and it's just about assembling the card and building a scene. So I'm gonna take my Xyron tape runner. I love the stick on this, it's awesome. And go ahead and place that down, mat that directly onto your card. When I place a mat down on a card, I look at the corners and go, does that look equidistant going all the way across? And if it looks pleasing to the eye, I'm good to go. So I start by taking my elements, make sure that they're nice and big. They don't fall out of, you don't want to put them in crooked and then they hit the sides. So place them in your sticker maker. And this is a 3-inch sticker maker from Xyron, and everything fits wonderfully. Nothing is too big, so it won't fight getting in there. And just place all your elements in here, and it turns everything into a sticker. It is awesome, awesome, awesome. And then when you're done, grip. Rub really well going all the way across to make sure that everything has got the sticky attached to the back. Peel off the top plastic part. And they're all stickers. Awesome. I probably could have done a little bit better job of placing them closer together, but oops. All right, so the first step we're gonna do is I'm going to take, and these are not stuck down yet. Those are gonna get stuck down at the very last bit. We wanna make sure that everything is, that the last layer is fitting well. And if you have to unpeel and peel and stick and peel and stick, it tends to be a problem. So place this where you think it's gonna go gently. Don't stick it down too far. Make sure your 2 top layers, and you can always use your corner as a guide. And I can tell I didn't go far enough down, so good thing I checked. I might actually come in with my scissors. It's okay that I did it before I actually glued it down, and just do a little trim so that way I'm not getting too close to the bottom. You're not gonna see this bottom, it's gonna hide. But we wanna nestle this down so it looks like it's in the distance. So again, gently lay it down, place your layers, and you don't have to place this behind scene layer all the way to the bottom. You can raise it up a bit, which is totally cool. So just kind of play around with where you want to have it. This is where you build your scene and you slowly start piecing all the elements together to exactly where you like it. And this is where you can have some fun and kind of be a little fiddly with it. And I like that placement. So I'm gonna go ahead and be like, yep, stick that guy down. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add adhesive to this back layer because everything is gonna fit in front of that now. Nothing else is gonna go back that far. Add my adhesive going all the way down the edge of that snowdrift. And then I don't want it going all the way down to the bottom. I want to just be hitting right in there. Again, make sure I'm lined up going from side to side. So you got 2 edges that you're trying to keep nice and firm on. So holding this front, it's not glued down in place. I'm going to come in with my trees and I want to layer kind of in between. I haven't stuck the top layer down yet, this top snowdrift down. So I don't want to peel up and cause problems and have this look kind of wobbly and not in place. So I've got my 3 trees. I want another larger one over here. I want it to look like it's in the distance. So if you start adding layers with the snowdrifts, it definitely looks like it's like hiding behind the hills. And if you just kind of place your little trees inside your little snowdrifts that you've created, it gives that illusion, which is pretty awesome. So my first moosey moose, and this is the one that I got to get as close to here as possible. So we're gonna place our moose, and like they, again, came out for a nice little walk, so came out to say hi. Peeled off my last moose, and I think I'm pretty confident about where this guy is gonna fit. I actually want this one to come look a little closer, so I'm just gonna do a little snip on his feet. And he's gonna fit, or she, however you wanna do it. It's gonna look like they're kind of overlapping. I don't want the antlers to get in the way of the faces. It's okay if they do a little overlap because now it looks like they've got some distance. So they're kind of like one standing in front of the other one. Before we stick this last piece down, we need to add our stamp sentiment. Pay no attention to the snow, I was testing my pen. So let's add our stamp first. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our stamp. This is from the super cute stamp set from Christmas. And I'm gonna place where I wanna have my stamp down here in the corner. You could do it on another sheet of paper and then come back, but I was like, you know what? I could stamp right on here. It's white, it's ready to go, it's easy. I think a stamping platform is best for this because it really does give you a nice, clean, crisp stamp. Because if you don't get it going good, clean, and crisp the first time around, then you can always come in and do a second generation on top and re-ink. So let's see if this one's good enough. You know what, I'm gonna do a second one just to be safe. And stamp again, just rub back and forth, and look at that. Beautiful stamp. Add adhesive going all the way down. Flip over, line up your corner, and place it on. Everything should line up just beautifully for you. And as long as you use a black ink that doesn't smear, you can go ahead and touch that right away and you are set to go. Now we're finally getting to the pen. So this is a white pen, it's a Jelly Roll pen, whatever white pen you have, and just come in and I'm gonna continue adding the little dots I've already started. There, that looks about good. Maybe one more right there. Just use your eyes, and if you're like, yep, that needs one, there you go. Now it looks like it's got a little bit of a snowfall happening. Next, I'm gonna use two products. One of them is the Nouveau Crystal Drops, the other one is the Diamond Stickles. You could get away with either one or the other, or a combination of both. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna come on top of some of the dots you've already made and just emphasize a couple of them. Don't go overdo it. Stay clear of the chimneys when you're doing it because we're gonna add a little bit of some smoke coming out of the chimney. So just emphasize like 2 or 3 of these. If you wanted to do this step last, you could, but you don't need very many, just 2 or 3, maybe 5 or 6, maybe one right there. You can definitely get carried away. It just adds a little bit of dimension. You can always go back and add more. And so now we're gonna add in with that same pen that we had before, we're gonna add in our little smoke tendrils. So we're gonna picture the smoke kind of coming up and billowing. They're just like little candy cane curlicue kind of things. And then you fill it in with your white pen, give a little bit of a point. So this one is kind of curling around. I'm gonna have another one kind of drifting up, kind of in the same location, a little higher. They don't have to be perfect. And it's like smoke billowing out. If you want to go back and look at the original picture, I'm making mine much taller. I think I'll make this one a little bit shorter. Don't overthink it. Just make it look like there's some smoke coming out of there. Again, if you want to copy what they're doing, 2 to 3 I think is good. 1 looks a little funny. I think a couple looks good. Now I'm going to come in with the stickles. This is Diamond Stickles. You want a clear stickle, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do a couple of the snowflakes again. Just come in and add a little something to some of those dots. We don't want to overdo it and do all of them. I mean, you could, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think just a couple look really good. So just go around and kind of hit that. If you want to do a little bit of some on your trees, just to add a little something to your trees, those would look super cute as well. You could also come in and do part of the house right here, give some emphasis to some of the house. So you really can kind of play around with that and have some fun. And then lastly, to help distinguish between the 2 layers of snowdrift, you really have to look closely where those are. So you might angle your card. Follow the layer of your snowdrift. And you could do this first and let it dry before you glue everything down, or just be really careful as you're doing it because the stickles do take a little bit of time. Whatever sticky glitteriness that you want to use for this would work wonderfully. So just follow along. And it really helps distinguish between the 2 different snow layers, and it gives it this kind of fun sheen, and it's not super dimensional, but it does add a little something to your card. So this is the card we just made together, and this is another one I made earlier, and you can see I've changed up some of the concept. The house looks a little different. It's a little bit similar, but a little bit different. We got more layers to our house that you can see here. And then I've changed up a little bit of the pattern. The house is on this side compared to this side. Changed up the stamp. So you can really take the same concept of these elements that are in the papers and building your scene and just change it up a little bit. Make your snowdrifts a little bit higher. Make them a little bit lower. Have fun with it. Thank you everybody for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed how to build a scene using paper piecing and cutout sections or the die cuts from the Dare to Be Artsy paper line. Bye everybody.